I spent some time ranting about how smart TVs are stupid, how they're starting to cause more problems than they solve, and how I think things will get worse if we don't step up and demand better. Now, I want to talk about what could be done to make things better, and maybe just as importantly, what should not be done. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and I have opinions. Recently, I amused my snarkier self, and hopefully you as well, by poking some fun at some very real problems I've identified with smart TVs. From where I'm sitting right now, smart TVs are kind of looking stupid. Now I want to follow up on that and talk about what could be done, what should be done, and what should not be done to make smart TVs better. Because at the end of the day, if we leave it up to TV manufacturers and smart TV platforms like Roku and Google to do the right thing, well, for some reason, I'm just not convinced that's the right move. Personally, I think we'll need to demand change if we want to see things move in the right direction. So, let's talk about that. Before I dig into it, here's a thought-provoking question for you. We see all this software going subscription-based. What if that happened to our hardware too? What if you had to pay a monthly or annual fee to keep your TV from turning into a brick? Think it could happen? Does the mere thought make you outraged? Let's talk about that down in the comments section. And while you're down there, if you like this kind of discussion, consider liking and subscribing. Giveaway at 1 million subs. Oh, and by the way, folks, be on guard for spammers and scammers in the comments section, not just here, but any channel. If we're giving something away, you can trust that you'll see me talking about it right here in the video, okay? Otherwise, it's probably not legit. All right, thanks for joining me. Let's get into it. Okay, so I get that smart TVs don't do as much as phones do, at least for now, but they really are starting to look more like really big phones or tablets, and they're beginning to act like them too. I think smart TVs should have the same kind of processing horsepower that we see in, well, at least mid-grade phones, and for a few reasons. First is upgradability/updatability. I know friends and coworkers who bought really high-end TVs in 2017 and haven't seen an update in well over a year, and they're not going to get one either. That means the latest version of apps will not run on their TV, and that means new features and functionality introduced to streaming services may not be supported going forward. Never mind helpful improvements to the user experience. If smart TVs had more powerful chips in them, they could be updated well into the future, keeping the smart TV part on par with the TV's picture performance. Whenever I talk about how future-proof a TV is these days, I end up being more focused on the smart TV platform's ability to evolve than I am with how well the TV's picture quality will hold up. More horsepower also just means a better user experience. Less lag and glitches that get in the way of being able to sit down and enjoy TV. Anything that stands to remove hassle from just watching TV can only be a good thing. I also think a more powerful smart TV could be a more secure smart TV, which brings me to my next suggestion. There is a very real possibility that the most hackable device in your home is your smart TV. Fortunately, most of us have internet routers that act as a sort of firewall. But as we've seen in the past, a TV's Ethernet or Wi-Fi connection is not the only door into the TV's operating system. With a more powerful processor, a TV could support its own baked-in security measures. And I think this is already absolutely essential given how many TVs have microphones built into either the TV itself or the TV's remote. But it's even more important given that video cameras are starting to return to TVs. Plus, more and more personal data ends up passing through our TVs now, from passwords to payment information. Bottom line is, TVs need as much, if not more, security as we expect from our phones. And they need frequent updates. Your smart TV may only get 1 or 2 updates over its lifetime, if any, which over the course of a 3-year lifespan would be insufficient, let alone the 7 to 10 years most folks keep their TVs. Now, as we talk about how to make our smart TVs better, I think we should also talk about the right to have a dumb TV, if that's what we want. To Google's credit, this is an option baked into the latest Google TVs from the likes of Sony and TCL. Right there at the beginning, you can either choose to proceed with Google TV or not. And if you choose the latter, you basically have a dumb TV, which you can then make smart, if you like, by connecting a streaming stick or box or a game console. This is so basic, but to me, it's one of the easiest, most meaningful steps the industry could take. Give us this option. So kind of springing off this idea of being able to choose whether we have a smart TV or a dumb TV, I think it would be massively beneficial if a TV's OS and its smart features could be separated from a TV's core functionality and updatability. What I'm saying here is that I want the ability to update my TV so it has the latest local dimming algorithm or picture processing AI without necessarily having to update to the latest version of WebOS or Tizen, Roku, Android, or Google TV. And from there, we could enable or disable automatic updates for either choice. Now, I know this kind of flies in the face of Roku and Google's plans where everything is bundled up into one interface, but I think you can see how essential this would be to keeping a TV's picture performance up to date if we were given the option to have a dumb TV. Now, it's inevitable, we have to talk about ads. With the current exception of Apple TV's platform, ads are popping up right in the user interface of all smart TV devices. You can't escape them. We should fix this. If smart TV platforms insist on injecting ads into every nook and cranny of a smart TV, then at least give us an ad-free subscription option. Part of the reason I subscribe to the ad-free tier of some streaming video services is so I don't have to see the ads at all. So when you shove an ad down my throat anyway, I get really frustrated. Frankly, I think ads delivered through the TV software should just be banned. More on that idea in a bit. But if that isn't gonna happen, then give me an ad-free option I can pay for. Yes, I realize I'm just frustrated that one of the great benefits of cord cutting is now all but gone. Go ahead and okay boomer me if you like. I can take it. But look at Amazon's Kindle as an example. You wanna save money? There's ads. Hate the ads? There's a price for that. Look, I just prefer no ads at all, but if it has to be this way, give me an ad-free subscription. Next up, with what will most certainly be the most controversial and hated idea I've had in some time, government regulation. I know. It's so easy to hate this idea given that the US government is notoriously bad at understanding tech and even worse at understanding where tech needs regulation. But let's see if we can play this out, both the positive and negative implications. The reason government regulation comes to mind is that, to an extent, the FCC and SEC here in the US are already involved with regulations around TVs and broadcasting, advertising, etc. They are also involved in matters of privacy and security in a bunch of other tech sectors. It stands to reason that they'll be woefully late to the party, but at some point, some elected official is going to act like it's a novel idea to protect the US consumer and finally see smart TVs for the regulation target that they already are. One area in which I think government regulation might actually help is in issues of privacy, specifically data privacy. I mean, there's been a huge crackdown on the likes of Huawei, for example, due to privacy and security concerns. If the government is so concerned about the liability that Huawei's phones and 5G infrastructure represent, then they should wake up and apply the same scrutiny to smart TVs and smart TV makers. I know that data privacy is such a huge issue that it's easy to just throw up our hands and say, well, guess there's nothing we can do about it. But I don't think we can afford to be that complacent. And look, I think we all know that when we get hit with those multiple pages of terms and conditions on a TV, and I'm talking like War and Peace length stuff here, we tend to just scroll right past them and just click the OK button. Now look, I know that I'm as guilty of this as anybody. You've seen my TV setup reviews and I don't have the time. I just click OK. With that said, don't do what I do just for the sake of making a quicker video. We need to be more careful. It's not a great idea. Now, to be fair, some TV makers have made it a bit easier to opt out of sharing certain data, but it is still too complicated for most folks to want to dig in and figure it out. And also, you only get one shot at this. Like, once you get past that, there's no going back unless you completely reset the TV and start the whole setup process over again. Maybe if there were regulations in place, it could be made simpler for us to rest assured we were reasonably protected. Regulations could also define what an ad is, differentiate suggested content from a commercial for toilet paper, for instance. And it could govern where and when ads would be allowed to appear. It could make the experience more consistent and predictable across all smart TVs. And that doesn't sound too bad, right? Of course, I'll be the first to admit that what I'm proposing here would be a seriously heavy lift. I mean, this would require TVs going into the US to be configured one way, while TVs headed for Europe would be configured another way, and TVs going to Australia, India, etc., they'd all have to be different. To be honest, it's probably not all that plausible. Unless we were to start talking about international regulations. You know what? The more I talk about it, the more ludicrously impossible it sounds. And yet, it's probably something we need. Look, I think the message I'm trying to send out here is that smart TVs need some serious attention. Somehow, the current collective concept of what a TV is and what it does is super antiquated. We are well past the simpler times when all TVs were dumb, and our biggest worry back then was how to keep kids from being able to watch porn. Remember the V-chip? If only it was that simple. But it isn't simple. It's complicated, and complicated issues need comprehensive solutions. So my hope is that through heightened awareness, we can draw enough attention to these issues that fixes can start being put in place. Otherwise, I think our smart TVs and the experiences they provide in our homes might just spiral out of control. Or maybe we're just screwed. What do you think? Thanks as always for watching, everyone. What do you make of all of this? Let me know down in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and here's 2 other videos I think you'll like.